Good morning, everybody. Good morning. First of all, I'm so glad that I'm back. As you probably know, if you've been watching the show, I have been missing in action, not because I wanted to. No, that wasn't it. Because technology was my friend. And I do that like this because technically it was my friend. I want to say it like that because we always learn from what goes on in the world, right? So my sound was just totally, it was not working in StreamYard, Zoom. I don't know what was going on. I had to wind up, just as a tip for everybody, I had to wind up getting a new account for both, for Zoom and StreamYard. And I don't know. I know it was my computer. We could never find out what it was, but it seemed like when I did a new account, everything kind of just flowed after that. So just another tip to say, if everything is not probably working, you have to start all over again with a new account. It just happens. But that's the tech tip for today. But besides that, welcome to the Time2Shine Happiness Show with the BBs, Barbara and Barbara. So Barbara Ellis, introduce yourself, and then we're going to introduce our wonderful, amazing guest today.
Good morning, everybody. How are you doing? This is Barbara Lunan-Ellison, and I am your personality pro because personality does drive reality. And one of the things I have realized I have added to my mission. So I'm going to share my mission with you this morning. My mission is to make happiness the norm rather than the exception. But I've added because I want to create for people happy, healthy, financially free, abundant lives. That's my overall mission. And one of the things, that's why I love doing this show. Because you know what? Communicating with others, learning business tips, making sure you're in the right niche, which is what we're going to talk about today. This is all part of happiness. And I'm just so excited to have Munira here today. So Munira, how are you doing? Welcome to the show.
Thank you so much. I am blessed, honored, humbled to be with the two Barbaras here in this show. And, I am good. I am wonderful, rested, blessed, and happy that I'm here with you.
So tell us, how did you get started being the Niche Navigator? That I love that name the very first time I heard it. And I know you've been changing a few things. So tell us what's happening.
So I started out being a coach. I went to the certification school and I realized that coaches go into, we go out into the world just like you go into a university thinking I'm going to come out of this and have a good job and, I can pay off my debts and everything else. And just like that, coaches go to coaching schools and they come out with this ideology because they've seen other people succeed and they want to do the same. Now, success comes. I'm not going to negate that. But most people have to pick a lane and go after it. Most people try to look for things to coach in a different realm. That's not even in their realm or in their jurisdiction, if you will. So if you start doing that, now you are in new territory, unfamiliar territory. You have to learn about different things. And don't get me wrong, learning is a constant process, but you have to start with what you got, what you know, right? And how do you know what you're good at? So when I started my journey, I was invited to do some masterminds, and then we were invited to go to a live mastermind in New York. And I realized that everybody spoke a good game, but it was just like the Easter Bunny chocolate. It looks wonderful, but it's hollow inside, right? People didn't know what they were doing. And so I started thinking about this. And when I spoke to these people further and further, I realized that they were afraid. One, they had fear. And of course, everybody has fear. But they were not sure on what niche to pick. It's like driving on a 15-lane freeway, but you're not picking a lane. Pick a lane, dude. Just don't go weave in and out of the traffic. And that's what it is. And so as I spoke to the 28 people who were there, and I just started talking to them, I realized that they had more to offer and they didn't see it. So I started helping them find their niche. And that's when the name stuck, because I was telling my friend, I said, I can help you navigate to your niche. And she's like, man, that's a good one. And I said, yeah, and I'm going to coin that name. And I took it. So that's how I began my journey. Barbara, we can't hear you.
And all right.
Hey, Barbara, you should be
Barb,
off.
can we hear you?
Yeah, you should be off mute.
Okay, there I am. Okay, so now, Barb and I, the three of us, we all met in Chicago at the Women's Prosperity Network. That Barb Beckley was leading the group, and so we have had a great history together of doing things within the Women's Prosperity Network. And I am just so grateful that Barbara put us together and started this show. Well, not started this show, but started the Diamond Factor experience. Because it has been such a blessing, and it has given so many people the chance to come out and share what they do. So I am so grateful that you're here. So, Barbara, how are you doing today?
Well, I'm just happy that we did. You never know. Oh, can you hear me?
Yes.
Oh, you never know how people get together in life. And I know this was just a divine how it happened. I mean, and it's been so long ago. I think it's been like 3 years or something like this since, I was over the chapter in Chicago with WPM. And now, you move forward, just like Munira said, that, you find your niche, and sometimes you have to do some adjustments. You have to kind of look over and say, well, maybe I need to change my whole brand or whatever it might be. But you want to do it, because it fits you and that's your lane. So I think, after some changing and stuff, I found my lane. Yay. And Munira was a big part of that, because we had a lot of talks what she does. And she's an awesome coach. And just let everybody know she is a tremendous coach. She will walk you through things. And one thing I love about Munira, she knows I'm going to say this. She's not like the softie. Okay. If you want something done and you really want to understand your niche, she's going to be on you. She's going to ask you questions. She's going to get detail with you, because she wants you to really hone in on what you do, so you love what you do once you get it. So, Munira, I thank you for that, because that is, to me, that's a good quality. That's a good quality.
Thank you. And when you ask, 90, almost 100 years ago, when Napoleon Hill wrote the book Think and Grow Rich, he writes it there. He says, when you ask a person what makes you happy, they don't know, or what they want, they don't know, right? And it's the same thing with people today. I mean, people have come into the modern era, but they've not really found happiness. 7 years ago, Forbes plastered it everywhere, where 76% of the world's population are not happy where they are at. So if that's the case, and it's just 7 years ago, then how is it that we make people happy? I think we are a species that starts to do something and we just follow the trend of other people, but we are afraid to take the unknown path. And that's what entrepreneurs do, right? They do not take the right path. I mean, even when I tell people to find their niche, I always sometimes have to get off the the tarmac road and go off the beaten path, because I have to figure out different things. So right now I'm also doing what I realize is, people need niches, right? But they also need to market themselves. How do you do that? And every person out there is a marketing expert and guru just because they've got some kind of a following or they know what they are doing. Nobody's really actually mastered marketing, because if it was mastered, then we wouldn't be seeing so many of the same commercials on the TV. But it's a message, right? So it's something to think about. But how do you show up in front of people all the time? right? I was at a boutique store a few days ago, and this guy owns 7 boutique stores in this region. And he said, I said, do you market to the same people? And he goes, no, I have repeat customers. And I said, do you know what your repeat customers are? And do you know how often they show up at your store? And he looked at me because there's no data. So being an business analyst, I used to do that in one of my phases of life. Being an analyst, you have to take the skills you have and analyze other people's businesses. Because he has 7 boutique stores, but is he doing it just for the money, or is he doing it because he loves it? Well, he does it because his wife is a proponent of the business. But how do you market to the same people? How do you tell the people to keep coming back? Right? You know that if it's you go to a McDonald's, they'll keep sending you the same things over and over again, and you go switch on the TV. And you have that marketing, it's that message that comes on. So sometimes, when Barbara said you have to change your lanes a little bit, it's okay, right? Don't change your lanes too much. You have to come back to where you are, because it's not what you want to do. Because if you start doing everything that you want to do in life, you'll never pick a lane and you'll be all over the place. So the message is show up, keep showing up. It doesn't matter if you're driving a Toyota or a Fiat or a Volvo. As long as you're driving something and you're showing people that you're in the driver's seat, but you're just changing cars, but keep showing up with different cars, right? People will know something's up here. I need to know what's going on here, right? So just show up. You can do a lot of different things, but just keep showing up. Make sure you're on people's feeds as well.
Now, Munira, can I ask a question, really? I just want to add something to that. And I know you mentioned, and I hear this a lot from people when you said show up, but some people might say, well, you're all over the place, because you mentioned that too. And I know a lot of people say that sometimes. Individuals, they say it to me too. I know they say it because we do a lot. If you're a speaker, if you're an author, if you're an influencer, you're going to go in different lanes. So I think there's a difference between you're all over the place and you're kind of maybe confused to say you're all over the place, but you're dip-dabbing in different things, but it still comes to what you do. So what do you think about that saying when somebody says, well, you're all over the place? What would you say about that?
So switch on the TV, you'll see a McDonald's commercial come on. You're in your car driving, you have the radio on, and then you hear, 10 pieces of chicken nuggets at McDonald's, go get it, yeah? Summer's going to come up, you're going to have some smoothie or whatever. So it's the McDonald's, right? But it's coming on different channels. And God forbid, if you were to go and Google McDonald's on your phone, just because you need to maybe see a restroom, that ad will follow you everywhere you go. So it's just channeling. So you can be doing same things. You can show up in different media, but be aware that what you are picking on, whatever you're talking about, is the same thing. So when I talk about niches, I talk about niches. I don't talk about anything else. Your niche. And most, it's funny, people just kind of accidentally find their niche, or some people had to go looking. And some people think they have found the niche, but they are not sure still. And they still are, I'm still trying to figure it out. I don't think you need to figure it out, because you know what you want to do. Let's find one thing that makes you happy. And if you have to analyze again, if that one thing is going to make you money. So, it's a couple
like I remember, Munira, the one.
Go ahead.
There's a bit of a delay. One of the exercises that I know that you did with me was you had me write down everything that I did. Everything that I thought I was good at, things that I wasn't so good at, things that I wanted to be good at. And I have to admit, that really helped, because I knew that I wanted to work with people and to help them to be happier. And and it has been but it's been a process. I mean,
So
don't you think sometimes that people get it into their heads that they're just going to look at one thing and that's going to be it, and that they're always going to do that and they're never going to change it? Don't you find that
true,
that's true? Yeah.
but I believe that niches come in seasons because you don't know what the season of life is happening right now. So, for a young mother, helping the baby go to sleep could be a niche. And if she's mastered it, she can teach other young mothers. So that's a niche. Now, once the baby grows up, she doesn't want to stick with that niche because now she wants her sleep, right? So the young mother may see, okay, how to do self-love when your baby is a toddler. So these different phases, right? In my life right now, I'm going through a mourning period. My husband passed away and all of that stuff. So I'm still adjusting to being alone again. And so that's a niche that I have to figure out. But also coupled with niches, I'm also helping people declutter their life. And it's a coupled thing with niches, because if I tell people that I've cleaned out my husband's things and I've also had to clean out my head, it's given me room to now put me in that space that my husband was occupying. So you have to declutter your mind. And with the exercise I did with you was the same exercise my coach did with me, is go find what you know how to do. That's the one thing you have to do. People forget not what they're good at, what they know how to do. So he said, start with the bathroom. And I was like, what? He goes, do you know how to clean your bathroom? The mirrors, mop it. How do you clean a bathroom? All of the things that goes in. You just don't say, I clean the bathroom. There's so many different things that go into it. Do you know how to brush your teeth? Do you know how to floss your teeth? Do you know how to comb your hair, wash your hair, do your hair, braid your hair? All that is a skill. Some people just brush their hair and they don't know how to braid it. But that's a skill they can learn. They can't put down that I want to learn how to braid my hair. That's a want list. But what they want to do is, I can brush my hair. Then you come to the kitchen. Can you put away groceries? Can you clean your kitchen? So just say, I just clean my kitchen doesn't work, right? There's so many different little mini tasks that make that big one statement. Come to your computer, switch it on is a task. Switch it off is a task. Hook up a printer is a task. Get on the internet is a task. So each little item is a step forward. People forget those little things, right? They don't think about these little things about, I know how to get on a computer. That's easy. Ask somebody who doesn't know. For them, they would be so frustrated. So, those little things, can you teach somebody to get on a computer? Can you walk them through completely without making a mistake? Those are the skills, right? And entrepreneurship, it doesn't mean that you have to do things the way you know how to do it. Ask somebody who is having a problem. And that's why when I wrote my book about niches, the first principle I wrote about is networking. Is, you don't know who out there needs your help. But if you are in a network situation and you are just there to answer somebody's questions, most people think, I'm just going to go give my cards out. But 90% of the time, they don't even have this intimacy where they can have a one-on-one conversation. When we had the meetings with Barbara, there was a group of less than 15 or 20, and everybody had fun. Everybody talked to each other. And that was the best part of it. Compared to going to these big events, giving out cards, and you're hoping somebody's going to call you or remember you, that doesn't work. So when you go into a networking event, or when you network, even on social media, you have to tune in to understand what the person wants. People think, how am I going to even find my niche when I'm networking? Do you know how to do something that somebody doesn't know how to? That could be a niche, but you have to tune in. If you're just going there to just figure out, like, I'm going to be a part of this group and not do anything, then you're not helping. But you have to tune into that frequency, like the old radios that we had, where we had to dial in and listen in to that frequency. And if you can understand what this person's problem is, then you're in business. Because business, being in business is not what you can do. It's what you can do for others, and how you can resolve other people's problems.
So well, so well. Yeah. I was just thinking when you were talking, Munira, that when you coach and you ask people, what do they like to do? And some people, I know I asked some people that too, that question, and they're like, well, I don't know. I mean, and when they say it like that, I can see already that they don't even understand, they don't even see the value that they really have. They don't believe. So when they're saying that, do you kind of start with them? Do you deal with some people where you can kind of just sense that they don't even really understand that they have a value of themselves to go forward?
So I'm going to ask you this question. When you ask these people, what is it that you want? Do you ask women or do you ask men?
Usually mostly women.
And that's the thing, is most women have never been asked what they want. They just give of themselves. They just keep giving and they give, and
True.
they know not one person has been asked. So any woman, stump any woman and ask them, what is it that you want? And they look, it's like, a deer in a headlights. What? Nobody's ever asked me this question. So that's the thing. So you need to ask yourself as a woman, what is it that I want? I don't want you to think 10 years down the road. I don't want you to think 5 years down the road. I want you to think today. What is it that you want today? Because
that is so
go ahead, Barbara.
that's so cool that you're saying that. With the delayed. I mean, I feel like we're, people get on top of each other. Anyways, but modern technology, we love technology, right? We love it when it works, and we love it when it's not so working. Anyway, but that's one of the things that I really think is that does happen, because I can remember sitting down. I listened to Forbes Riley, and that's one of the things that she does. What do you want? And to get it down so that you keep asking and asking. And finally, for me, I realized that I want to be a speaker. And so that's where this part of this, when I was like, oh yeah, I really, and so then when Barb asked Barb, do you want to do a happiness show? I jumped at it, but realizing within myself, my personality, that I didn't want to do it by myself. But now I'm much more comfortable doing it by myself. So it has just been like a process.
You have to step out of the comfort zone. And, most people are so
comfort zone.
So this is my theory, and I believe that life is a box. So when a person is conceived, they are in a box, in the womb. Then they graduate into a crib or a bassinet, then a crib, a bed, and then a cubicle in school and a cubicle at work. And then, they keep moving in these little boxes. And I think we as parents or grandparents have made it so that people don't walk out of this little box that we put them in, because this is the norm. And you die finally in a box, right? So you are boxed in, and nobody tells you it's okay to step out of the box. I'll tell you, when I first came to America, people would say, you have to think outside the box. And I always used to wonder, where is this box that everybody talks about? I don't know, right? I was like, I don't know what this box is. And people would laugh at me. But the thing is, we are never trained, not even in schools or anything. And then they tell us to take a critical thinking class, which is what, 16 weeks or a semester or 10 weeks, and we just say, okay, this is how I'm going to think. No, you need to prepare yourself with critical thinking all the time. And all that education that we invested in is now coming back in our life, where we have to now think, what is it that I really want? You have to sit down, but don't think into the future, because that's going to paralyze you. Most people don't take that beaten road off the path, because they are so inundated about, oh my God, what am I going to do? Well, no. What are you going to do right now? That's going to be uncomfortable action. So for your viewers, you want to do something and you're not sure. Some people ask me, you wrote a book, how did you do it? Well, I wrote a word, and then it became a sentence, and 2 sentences, a paragraph, and then it became a chapter. It's easy for me to say that, and I see that, but you have to start somewhere. Just start with the word I, right? I just put that word down and just start. People tell me, but it's being afraid. I don't know if I can be successful. Nobody knows. But if you hold yourself back, or you don't refine yourself, you're never going to know until you start. And we've all done this, right? So to go back to your kitchen, and the first recipe you did, even if you made eggs, you were supposed to make, I don't even know, but you were supposed to make the easy, the whole yolk, forgot what it's called. But then you made a scrambled egg because, the egg broke. But something came out of it, right? So you learned. It doesn't matter, but you just go into the kitchen and break that egg first. That's how it is. And I tell people, if you want to do something and it seems daunting, go stand in a shower and open the cold water. Yeah, it's cold. Yeah, it's cold.
Oh.
What happens is 10 minutes or whatever, for every person it's different. 10 minutes into this cold shower, you're going to feel invigorated, because now your body has acclimated. You'll shriek in the beginning, but you can't cheat. You have to take that cold shower. And if you do it, I promise you, that's uncomfortable action. So every time you think, I cannot do this, go take a cold shower. I was with my grandkids in Seattle the other day, and my grandson, who is almost 11, he was saying something about, no, can't do this something. And I said, okay, let's go take a shower. And I literally put him in a cold shower, and he was not very happy. He had funny words to say to me, very angry, but he felt good. He was invigorated. And then when he came out and he goes, I don't like what you did to me, but I understand why you did it. Just take a cold shower. You don't have to go further. Just stay in your own home and take a cold shower.
I like what you said when you came, came to the U.S., that when people were saying, oh, you got to think outside the box, you already was, when you think about it, you already was ahead of the game. Because you were looking at them like, what do you mean about this box? See, you already knew that that there was no box in your world, and you came over to the U.S. and we're talking about boxes. You got to look outside the box. And I know you were kind of figuring like, okay, what are you talking about?
Well, see, I've never heard of that,
but that's a good thing, though.
No. But there's boxes in every culture, right? Mm-hmm. So, like for me, I was married. I couldn't talk to other men. You couldn't do any of that stuff, right? So there was a box, an invisible box, but nobody told you to think outside the box. And I'm like, where is this box? But it's a box it's a boundary that we put around us. It's a self-inflicted boundary that holds us back. You know why? Because we become complacent, we become warm, we don't want to move out of our complacency because it's comfortable. We've all been there. Let me give you an example for those of you listening. You've had a job, and all of a sudden you get another offer, and you've been here for 10 years or 6 years or 4 years. You know what you do, and it's repetitive tasks. But now you have to step up. Either it's a job outside your company or it's within your company, but you have to move up, or different departments or something. This new offer, you're going to sweat it. You're not just going to say, I'm going to take it because it's going to be a challenge. Most people sweat it. Oh, the money is good, but the hours are not. What do I have to do? How am I going to do this? And it has happened to you. But when you take that next step, you know you're better. You can do this job better than anybody else. So why didn't you take it in the first place? I have a friend who worked for one of the CEOs. He was a personal assistant, and this guy, the CEO, left, so now he was left hanging. But he did not want to go and look for another job within this organization, so he sat there for almost a year hanging without a pay. Just sat there and did nothing. Just odd jobs for people who came, and it's a religious organization. And I kept telling him, I said, go find a job, take anything that comes your way, you'll learn something. And then almost a year later, he took a job in the laundry section, where this is a travel agency and everything else. So in the laundry department. And he said, I just sat here and did nothing for a whole year. I should have made money, even though the pay was a little less than what I was making. I didn't want that to happen. But that sometimes it's our own belief or our own stubbornness or ignorance. I don't know, all blended into one, where we decided to kick ourselves in the shin. So what happened was, this guy he's working in the laundromat, and this guy is a frequent flyer, and he shows up every time, and he offered him a job. He says, I left this organization, went into another one, better job, better pay, but had I done this before, I would have been an year ahead. But it is what it is. So that complacency and stubbornness is when we don't want to step out of our box that we created.
Uh-oh.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah, I was muted. Yeah, and that's absolutely the truth. So often people it's that fear of failure, the fear of the unknown, or we get comfortable in the box, and then all of a sudden it's like, oh yeah, and especially right now, people have been forced out of the box. So in some ways, it's been good. It's like, okay, it's like, all right, you're out of the boat. They've been thrown out of the boat. And the ones that have been able to pivot and really embrace it, they're the ones that are going to come out 5 years from now. We are going to have so many new things that we do not even fathom right now. So, yeah, this is actually an exciting time.
It is. And the thing is, as we sit here and I think about it, everything, people talk about niches and everything else. It starts with an idea. Everything is an idea. Everything around you right now, the computer you're working with, the speaker, the mic, the camera, everything that you're working with right this moment has been somebody's idea. And it has been enhanced several different ways. So yeah, the fear of failure is there. Yes, you will fail, but you have to fail. If you don't fail, you will never improve. And think of it this way, the iPhone 12 is out. It's smaller than the iPhone, whatever version it was before that. But if you have an iPhone 12 now, why didn't they just perfect the first one and make it an iPhone 12? but they have to keep perfecting it and enhancing it each year so that people, one, is a good customer. They keep coming back for the new one. That's number one. That's how business grows. And two, you are the person, you're so attached to it that you want it. But so if you don't fail, you will never improve. And if you don't improve, people will not come to you. Same.
Right.
And just to Munira, just to add that about, being fail. Because I think about Benjamin Franklin, how many times that he had to go over and over again to get the point that now we have light. I mean, electricity and stuff. And he failed once, twice, three times. I mean, over and over. I mean, when you think about it, after the 10th time, a lot of people have been like, well, probably even after the second or third time, people have been like, I'm done. I'm not going to try this no more. Thank God that he was persistent in what he was doing. And a lot of us do that. We need to do that. We need to be persistent. Even if something doesn't work out the first time, second time, third time, you never know. If you tweak it, change it, find help. That's another thing. Collaborate with people. See, a lot of times we can get stuff done a little bit quicker too. If we just open our mind and say, you know what, let me go to Munira and ask her some questions. Let me go to Barbara and see what they have to say, because you have a genius. I'm always telling people we have our different genius. If we come together, that might help all of us level up and make a little bit faster than it could have been just just keep saying, I'm going to do it, I'm going to do it. Well, talk to Barbara. She knows this. Oh, I don't want to bother her. I don't think so. No, I'm going to do it. I'm going to do it. No. Go and ask the questions. Get with people and they know what they're doing so you can get done. Something
everybody's end goal is the same thing, right? Is let us be happy, fulfilled, and not what's the word? I have to translate.
Just be abundant. Just be abundant. Yes, to lead an abundant life.
Prosperity. We want prosperity because we don't want to be a burden on our families or whatever, right? We want money, like you said, that's what your goal is in life. But that's the best part, right? Once we realize what our end goal is, we can always backtrack. We can always backtrack to figure out, hey, I can do this. Let's dissect this. And and I like the enthusiasm that Thomas Edison had. Was I didn't have just the light bulb is a success, but it just had 1,000 steps to it, and he came up with it, right? That's how he was. He was enthusiastic about that.
It's all the way you look at it. You're right.
One of the things that one of the sayings that I always liked was that there's no such thing as failure. It's just feedback. So keep failing until you succeed, because it's all just feedback. It's just, okay, well, that didn't work, so let's try this. Oh, that didn't work, so let's try this. And it's absolutely the truth. Absolutely the truth. So, but this has been absolutely wonderful. Thank you so much for coming on. I can't see where we're at time-wise, so I think we're about right, aren't we?
Yeah, we're right in the right time. So, Munira, before we sign off, can you just let people know where they can contact you?
I am on Facebook. There's only one Munira Zahabi in the world, but you can always Google the Niche Navigator and I come up.
Yeah, she's right. She's the Niche Navigator and she will be, her marketing is good. This is awesome. So with that, Barbara, any last words? Any announcements, Barbara? Because I know you always have something good going on.
Hey, you know what? I'm excited. Tomorrow we're starting. For myself, I'm a personality coach, and tomorrow I'm starting my first class with several other of the trainers, and we are teaching people how to, get along. We all need to get along with the people around us. You know me. My favorite saying is that we can't do life on our own. So let's get along with the people that are around us. And so that I'm just so excited that we're starting our first training tomorrow, and it's going to be fun. So I'm really looking forward to that. And we have a couple of new classes coming up. And if you want any more information about how to learn about personality, just be sure and connect with me, send me a direct message, and I'll get back with you. So it's fun.
Awesome. That's one thing about it. Learning how to communicate with people is always a learning experience. So thank you, Barbara, for understanding our bank code, cracking our code, as I always like to say. So with that, so we will see everybody next Tuesday. But we always say before we end, we say it's time to shine. Always show that smile, because that, to me, that's much easier than showing the frown. So keep smiling and keep being happy.
Yep.
Thank you.